So the top of the booster is our BFF, or our backend for front end, with the front end, or connected with the React front end. And the lower part is the part where we have the commerce core, the search and the CMS and our microservices. So the advantage is that the front end and the backend for front end, it never needs to be exchanged or never needs to be replaced by something different. Because for this, I need to explain a bit further why we have a backend for front end, or what the purpose of a backend for front end is. So the backend for front end, it has actually two tasks: aggregation and transformation. So aggregation means, let's just take an easy example, a product detail page. So a product detail page needs the following data. It maybe needs a price, content, a text, and an image, just to be simple. And now if we would not have the backend for front end, the front end would need to call the different services to get this data, for example the price, separately. The backend for front end now takes this one call and distributes these various, let's say, requirements to get the data to the different services. So the front end does not have to call it separately, and therefore we guarantee that the performance stays stable, because we do not load everything into the memory of the front end, which would increase the loading times. So we can really have stable and reduced loading times here.
On top of that, my understanding is that the backend for front end ensures that if you want to change one of the modular components in the backend, for example, exchange the search because you decided for a better software provider in this case, it's easier to just exchange the provider, because the calls that we have in the backend for front end, we will not have to change. We will just have to change really the software component, right? So that's one of the key benefits.
Yeah, that's actually also another benefit of the booster, or of our backend for front end, because the front end, in the end, does not care which software provider, for example, it has to deal with, let's say it like this. The front end and also the backend for front end, they just stay the same, and we can actually just exchange software partners. So if you, or if our customers are not, or have not decided yet, okay, I want this CMS from that provider or another one, then we can simply just also take our mock implementation, which is actually another benefit, because we already have a mock implementation in place. So, for example, if our customer does not have a CMS in place yet, we just need to turn on our mock implementation, and the booster, or our shop system, is still running because we have this mock implementation. So for everyone who maybe does not know what mock implementation is, it's like a substitute of a system.
Mm-hmm. Therefore, we can already see something happening really in the front end straight from day one, right?
Yes, right, because it's there. So we also have like a best practice product data model in place. This takes me back to the transformation part of the backend for front end. I have already talked about product data models, and product data models can be really large. So this means there's a lot of attributes in the product data model. But for example, our product detail page only needs some of the data, like a price and an image. And now the backend for front end is really just fetching this data. So we do not fetch the whole data model, we just fetch the specific data we need, and then it is handed over to the front end, which also reduces the load again and the memory.